the city of San Angelo. And if you're watching us from San Angelo, good afternoon. I would halt any of those outdoor activities, and it looks like a new tornado warning has just been issued for Menard and Kimball counties. Menard and Kimball counties, you are included in a tornado warning until 5:15 p.m. For those of you who are just now joining us, good evening. I'm Meteorologist Britton Musall. We tracked a thunderstorm that formed to the southwest of San Angelo that has moved to the east-southeast, and there is a tornado warning on this thunderstorm until 5:15 p.m. London, Clio, if you live on the north side of Junction, here's I-10, and I've just been informed we are now on all of our different streaming platforms, so hello to you there. If you are about to go into your tornado safe room, you can watch us on Fox West Texas Plus. You can download it on your smart TV, Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, YouTube channel, and Facebook channel. Thank you for that update, Desmond in control room. So we have a new tornado warning that has just been issued for Kimball and Menard counties. And this is the same thunderstorm that confirmed produced a tornado earlier to the west of the community of Menard. And that was at 4:13 p.m., so that was roughly 15 minutes ago or so. So for those of you who are just now joining us, I'm tracking 3 different kind of complexes of thunderstorms, one between Sterling City and Erie County, one for the city of San Angelo, and now 2 tornado warnings in effect. One is in effect for Menard County until 4:45 p.m., and that's the thunderstorm that confirmed produced a tornado west of the community of Menard. And now the National Weather Service has issued a new tornado warning. It's for southern, kind of southeastern Menard County, as well as for northern portions of Kimball County. This is that same thunderstorm that confirmed produced a tornado. And you can see why they issued a new tornado warning. You have that area of circulation to the northwest of London. The green represents winds going towards the radar. The red represents winds going away from the radar. You can see that rotation. In addition to the rotation closer to the county seat of Menard County, thankfully, that rotation is looking a little bit weaker. I still do want you in that tornado safe place, and at the very least, just inside while these very powerful thunderstorms are in place. National Weather Service calling that newest tornado warning a radar indicated, having some technical difficulties. Yes, for Kimball and Menard County, also the potential to produce some quarter-sized hail and some 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. But as I've mentioned previously, now we kind of have the new hook shape in southern Menard County getting into northern portions of Kimball County. You see that red flashing polygon, that's the tornado earlier that was confirmed west of the community of Menard. That kind of initial area of rotation appears to have weakened, and it's definitely still there. West of Highway 83, southwest of the community of Menard, in addition to a severe thunderstorm warning, so thunderstorm is most definitely packing a punch. But until 5:15 p.m. to the southwest of Menard, and is moving southeast at 20 miles an hour. So there's that area of rotation southwest of the community of Menard. That's why the National Weather Service has issued a new tornado warning. I'm going to go ahead and briefly zoom out and then put a new tornado warning cone. So it is moving southeast at 20 miles an hour. And it is radar indicated rotation and still producing potentially up to baseball-sized hail. Because of all the instability we have in the atmosphere, I'm going to redraw that tornado warning polygon, give you a better idea of what's going on. I do apologize, juggling a lot of different information right now, but you can see, I apologize, having some technical difficulties, but it's moving southeast at 20 miles an hour, so if you live near the community of Menard towards Kimball County, towards the community of Junction. I apologize, having technical difficulties with that. Thankfully, it's a relatively low population area between the communities of Menard and Junction. Of course, people still live there. If you know folks who live in that area, between Menard, between Junction, we're talking kind of central southern portions of Menard County, getting into portions of Kimball County. And the tornado warning polygon that was initially issued until 4:45 p.m., that's where we had the confirmed tornado west of Menard. That's still in effect for the next 15 minutes. And now there is a brand new tornado warning as this thunderstorm goes from Menard County into Junction County. And it looks like we may be talking about a couple different areas of rotation. I see 3 areas of rotation. We have this kind of broad area of rotation southwest of Menard, another one to the northwest of the community of London, and now it appears we may be having a 3rd area of rotation forming to the east of Menard. Here's the winds going towards the radar. Here's the winds going away from the radar. That's where you have that counterclockwise circulation, and it's not as powerful as the one we saw the confirmed tornado with. It is still powerful nonetheless. In the most recent scan, maybe showing it be a little less organized, a little bit of a weaker signal of rotation. It is still there though, it is still powerful, and it's still cause for concern for you in Menard County. I still want you in that tornado safe place. And right now in Kimball County, the rain is just starting to move for places like London, towards Yates, towards Clio. You're definitely starting to see a little bit of rain, probably hear a little bit of thunder as well. The tornado threat is beginning to transition from Menard County until Kimball County. I still want you in that tornado safe place though in Kimball County, especially kind of in the eastern central portions of Kimball County. And the latest from the National Weather Service says the supercell thunderstorms over Menard and Kimball counties are merging, and we are seeing new potential rotation couplets forming. The tornado warnings continue. So for those of you who have been continually watching this severe weather coverage, we saw the 2 separate storms. One was in Kimball County, one's in Menard County. Now we're kind of seeing a messy cluster of thunderstorms, and with that messy cluster of thunderstorms, we're seeing a couple different areas of rotation. It's a little bit easier to see on the rainfall mode of radar. You can see those different hook shapes on radar, and also a severe thunderstorm warning that goes from Menard towards Junction, and still, but it's an area with nearly 1,500 people because it does include the community of Menard. That is a population center, and I definitely don't want to overlook that fact. And it appears the National Weather Service has issued some new information with that new tornado warning. Again, northern Kimball, southern Concho County, and it's near the intersection of US 83 and Ranch Road 1773, or southwest of Menard. So if any of these locations southwest of Menard sound familiar to you, I really want you to be taking these tornado safety precautions. There was already confirmed a tornado west of the community of Menard. Whether or not that tornado is still on the ground, it's honestly not entirely sure, because this is a not as highly populated as, say, San Angelo or Abilene. So with that, the information is a little bit sparser, and that's why I still definitely want you to take this thunderstorm seriously. And it's until 5:15 p.m. It does include Menard, Clio, London, with the potential of baseball-sized hail. Going into this day, meteorologists were forecasting that we would mostly see a hail and wind threat with the potential of isolated tornadoes. And that's what we've been seeing unfolding. The very large hail we've had reported, golf ball, even up to baseball sized hail, really impressive signatures for hail on radar. And I definitely don't want to overlook that as this thunderstorm transitions from Menard County to Kimball County. And I do want to briefly just talk about this thunderstorm right over the city of San Angelo, and then a new thunderstorm that's west of Arden right now, Erie and Sterling, Tom Green County. So we have two different severe thunderstorm warnings for Tom Green County, one for quarter-sized hail and some gusty straight-line winds, and that I believe is in effect until 5 p.m. And then the second warning to the west of Grape Creek, and it kind of clips portions of places like Arden. We're talking northeastern Sterling County, or excuse me, northeastern Erie County, and we're talking southern portions of Sterling County. Maybe a little bit of some broad rotation at this point. I'm definitely keeping an eye on it, as is the National Weather Service. It's not looking as impressive on the rainfall mode of radar. So at this point, just something to keep an eye on. National Weather Service currently is warning for this of hen egg sized hail. That's about 2 inches in diameter. That's a little bit larger than golf balls, as it eventually, on its current track, looks like it'll approach places like Grape Creek and places like San Angelo as well. The thunderstorm right over the city of San Angelo looking a little bit weaker right now. That is certainly some good news. There's currently no tornado warnings, though, on either of these thunderstorms. Regardless, though, they're powerful thunderstorms. That's why the Weather Service has these warnings on them. Imminent tornado threat right now for Menard County, central Menard County. It does include the community of Menard, and it's moving towards Junction. We're talking northeastern portions of Kimball County. And now the thunderstorm complex has become a little bit messier, and that may help to mitigate the tornado threat, but we already saw it produce a confirmed tornado to the west of Menard, and it may feel like repeating a lot of information. We're getting new second-to-second, minute-by-minute latest radar information, and we're making sure we're communicating that, since some people may be tuning in and out. They might tune in a little bit later than some other folks and miss some information, and we want to make sure we are communicating the absolute latest to you. We've seen the combination of those storms. Ping pong ball sized hail has been reported near Tankerselly. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. That's in Tom Green County. That's ping pong ball sized hail. So that's 1.5 inches diameter. That's closer towards the city of San Angelo in Tom Green County. That's kind of western portions of Tom Green County. The main threat right now is the tornado warning. Community, kind of northern portions of Menard County, you're included in a tornado warning until 4:45 p.m. So it is currently 4:40 p.m. So for the next 5 minutes, and then this new tornado warning that's going into portions of Kimball County. London, just to the north of the community of Yates. Yates, you're not included in the tornado warning. Here's Highway 83. Here's Highway 377. All of these locations included in that tornado warning until 5:15 this evening. So for the next half hour. And I'm still kind of concerned with this circulation that's north of the community of Yates, or excuse me, north of the community of London, southwest of the community of Hext. This is southeastern portions of Menard County. We haven't really seen the rotation strengthen a lot, but it is enough for at least a little bit of concern, with the green going towards the radar, red going away from the radar where you have that counterclockwise circulation. New radar scan, not looking terribly impressive, but it's definitely still there and definitely cause for concern. As you get further and further away from the radar data quality kind of decreases as you spread out from the radar. So now we're looking higher up into the thunderstorm, not really getting a good scan of the low level, what's going on at the low levels. That's why storm spotters are important to tell folks what's going on at the lowest levels of the storm. And if you live near London, Hext, Menard, Clio, Yates, north of Junction and Kimball County, if you can safely communicate to us what's going on at your location, that would certainly be appreciated. New update on that tornado warning for Menard and Kimball County. North central Menard County, it's moving east at 20 miles an hour, and a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a new tornadic circulation was located near Saline. So it looks like now we're seeing just multiple areas of circulation, and that tornado warning still in effect for northern portions of Menard County until 4:45 p.m. I suspect they're going to let this flashing red tornado warning expire and continue with this tornado warning in southern portions of Menard County, northern portions of Kimball County. It sometimes takes a while for these new warnings to get through, but you're definitely seeing the really powerful thunderstorm. Maybe not as impressive on radar. We'll have to see how the thunderstorm handles this most recent combination of the storms. I do just want to quickly mention that Junction, if you're watching us from Junction, you're currently not included in the tornado warning. It's just to the north of you. And if I was in Junction, I would begin thinking about those tornado safety precautions. It's not an immediate call to action for you in Junction. It is an immediate call to action just to the north of Junction towards London, Clio. If any of these areas sound familiar to you, I really want you to be taking those tornado safety precautions near Kidd Lane in Menard County, near County Road 370 in Kimball County, near Lamar Ranch Road, near Ellis Road, near Spiller Lane. If any of these locations sound familiar to you, now is your time to be taking the tornado safety precautions. Also the threat of baseball-sized hail, and it looks like the hail signatures are looking a little bit weaker. You're seeing maybe a little bit of some hail far southwestern McCullough County, that's to the north of you in Calf Creek. That's southwest of the community of Brady near Hext, and it looks like the largest hail is northwest of London. We are talking right on the border of Kimball and Menard counties. Radar is still estimating golf ball sized hail. National Weather Service has it warned for baseball sized hail though. So I would definitely go with, regardless of if it's baseball sized hail, golf ball sized hail, I would argue it's still damaging regardless of the exact hail size. So still a dangerous thunderstorm, very powerful. The tornado warning for northern portions of Menard County has been allowed to expire. We do still have the tornado warning for southern portions of Menard County, northern portions of Kimball County until 5:15 p.m. So for those of you who are just now joining us, we are doing long-form tornado coverage for a tornado warning that has just been issued or is issued actually a while ago. Apologize, have a lot of information incoming at once. So Menard, community of Menard, you are still included in that tornado warning. Notice the C shape very close to the community of London. Just west of you in London, and we're seeing multiple ongoing areas of rotation in Menard, eventually moving into Kimball and perhaps even Mason County as well. Want to give you a quick synopsis of what's going on. We just had a new severe thunderstorm warning issued for the city of San Angelo. That's in effect until 5:45 p.m. And that warning is in effect for some $half sized hail. That's 1.25 inches in diameter, as well as 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So if you're watching us from the city of San Angelo, want to emphasize that this is not an imminent tornado threat. I would still delay any of those outdoor plans in the city of San Angelo until this kind of complex of thunderstorms moves through. We also had a report in Menard, Texas of a gust of 73-mile-an-hour winds. So I've been talking for quite a bit. Even if it's not producing a tornado in Menard County, it's definitely producing the very gusty winds. We just had a report from a station near the community of Menard of 73-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And you can still see the pinks and the purples southeast of Menard, north of London. That is likely some large hail, warned for up to baseball-sized hail. Includes the community of Clio for the next half hour until 5:15 p.m. So for those of you who are just now joining us, a tornado warning is in effect for the community of Menard. We're talking central to southeastern portions of Menard County and northeastern portions of Kimball County. This unfortunately produced a tornado west of the community of Menard, and a new tornado warning has just been issued for northeastern portions of Kimball, Mason, and Menard County until 5:30 this evening. So it appears right now we might be looking at a bit of a split with this thunderstorm, with part of the thunderstorm moving towards the southwest and part of it moving towards the southeast. Regardless, we're going to continue tracking it with you. And it's that area of rotation I've been keeping an eye on that's to the north of the community of London. And that's the area of rotation that's eventually going to be moving towards Mason, which is technically just outside of the Fox West Texas viewing area. But if you know folks in Mason, if you know folks who live near the intersection of Kimball, Mason, Menard County, you're included in a tornado warning until 5:30 this evening. So for the next hour, National Weather Service noting some erratic behavior with this thunderstorm. It's also producing golf ball sized hail, radar indicated rotation. Do apologize, receiving lots of information. So it's a radar indicated rotation. As I mentioned though, it's over relatively lowly populated portions of our area. So I don't really expect to receive a lot of reports as the thunderstorm moves through these areas that aren't as highly populated as, say, San Angelo or Abilene. They're really strong storms regardless. And the most recent scan of radar, not looking as impressive as it did. We're looking relatively high in the thunderstorm as we start to exit the Fox West Texas viewing area. And Desmond, have you heard any reports of damage from the newsroom? Okay, not hearing any reports of damage at this point. That's some encouraging news. With these types of severe thunderstorm setups, oftentimes it takes a while for those reports of damage to get to us in the newsroom. And you can definitely still see some powerful winds associated with the thunderstorm, as it has the potential to produce upwards of golf ball sized hail. That's what it is currently warned for. But some of those winds that are exiting portions of Menard County, getting into portions of Mason County, gusting upwards of 50, 60 miles an hour. A thunderstorm is considered severe if it produces winds over 57 miles an hour. So we're definitely seeing that with this kind of cluster of thunderstorms. And storms that produce the very gusty winds can produce damage like a weaker tornado. So regardless of it's a tornado or very gusty winds, I would argue it doesn't matter because they still produce significant damage. So for folks who are watching us over the air and over streaming, I do want to give kind of an overview of what's going on across the big country in the Concho Valley. North of I-20, Abilene northward, I'm not concerned about severe weather for you. We do have a tornado warning that's in effect for Menard County, Kimball County, moving into Mason County. You see that very well-defined cluster of thunderstorms that's moving off to the southeast. That's eventually going to be making its way into portions of central Texas and out of our viewing area. I still want you in those tornado-safe places, though, and we're also seeing a severe thunderstorm warning for the city of San Angelo. And you can see it's not looking tornadic at this point, so that's certainly some good news as it moves into Grape Creek, as it moves into San Angelo and Erie County. Also want to point out we had a severe thunderstorm warning issued for McCullough County. It does include the city of Brady. I'm not concerned about a tornado at this point for the community of Brady. National Weather Service is warning this thunderstorm as it moves northeast at 10 miles an hour. So it's a northeast at 20 miles an hour. It's a very slow moving thunderstorm. It's for McCullough and northern portions of Mason County, really far northern portions of Mason County, just to the north of that tornado warning. All right, so let's focus in on this thunderstorm complex that's producing potentially multiple tornadoes at this point, hence the multiple warnings from the National Weather Service. There are two different warnings. You have the flashing red polygon, that's for Kimball, Mason, Menard counties until 5:30 p.m. Also the risk of some golf ball sized hail. You're seeing the pink and purple on radar as that kind of moves off into portions of Mason County. You also have the tornado warning moving from Menard County towards Junction County. So if you live in either of those red flashing polygons, I need you to be in that tornado safe place. On radar at this point, the most impressive rotation looks to be northeast of the community of London. As that moves into Mason County, the flashing red polygon, the winds inside the thunderstorm, when you see the green, that's winds going towards the radar. When you see the red, that's winds going away from the radar. So that's your counterclockwise circulation. And at the very least, some very powerful winds, some severe caliber winds. Back further towards the west in Menard County, the rotation's looking less and less organized. So that's some good news. I still want you in that tornado safe room, still want you on the lowest floor, away from windows, because it's a really strong thunderstorm. It's a severe thunderstorm, hence the tornado warning for potentially up to 70-mile-an-hour winds. That's what's been reported at the airport in Menard County. And golf ball sized hail potentially for portions of Menard, Mason, and Kimball County. And you can see between Hext and London, that's where the largest hail is falling at this point. It's south of Calf Creek, and maybe some severe level hail as well across southwestern portions of McCullough County towards the community of Brady. So powerful storms moving across southeastern portions of the Concho Valley. So two different tornado warnings across the area. We have one in effect for Menard and Kimball counties. That's in effect until 5:15 p.m. this evening. And now it appears the area of greater concern is Kimball, Mason, Menard counties until 5:30 p.m. National Weather Service is calling this radar indicated rotation. And let me pull up the absolute latest. And it's moving east at 20 miles an hour. The thunderstorm is located near Erna. And let me zoom in. So if any of these areas sound familiar to you, really want you to be in that tornado safe place. Kidd Lane, Erna, County Road 370. Landers Lane, here's Highway 83. That's on the edge of the red tornado warning polygon. Long Mountain Road, right on the border between Kimball and Mason County. And there's that flashing red polygon for Kimball and Menard County. That's in effect until 5:15 p.m. this evening. And it appears that severe thunderstorm warning approaching the city of San Angelo in effect until 5:45 this evening. Still producing the large hail, especially north of Arden. I do want to emphasize, though, this does not appear to be an imminent tornado threat for the city of San Angelo. We do still have the tornado warnings in effect for Menard and Kimball counties, and you can see we might be looking at the area of rotations to the north of Yates. You can see that kind of protrusion on radar where it's kind of almost making a hook shape. That's an area of potential concern. So lots and lots of rotation ongoing, and the severe tornado warning is continued for until 5:30 p.m. this evening for Kimball, Mason, and Menard counties, and it looks like it trimmed out portions of Menard County, so it still includes the community of Hext with that initial tornado warning, including the city of Menard, including the community of Clio, Yates, London, Highway 377. If you know folks who are traveling between London and Mason near Hilda on Highway 377, Highways 87, and kind of across southeastern portions of our area, this is the hill country. A lot of folks will travel between San Angelo and Austin on these roads. I want you to give them a phone call, let them know a powerful thunderstorm's moved through. It confirmed produced a tornado to the west of Menard earlier in its life cycle. And even though we haven't received confirmation in a little bit of time with these newer tornado warnings, National Weather Service is being precautious and continuing with these tornado warnings. And frankly, I agree. I definitely think the tornado warnings are still warranted. They're still needed for Kimball, Mason, and Menard counties. And we still have the severe thunderstorm warning for McCulloch County, Rochelle, Brady, east of Melvin, northeast of Calf Creek, Vaca. That's the potential, again, for the golf ball sized hail, maybe as large as baseball, although this kind of cluster of storms is looking like the hail threat is a little lesser. When you start out with these individual thunderstorms, that's really where you have the hail and tornado risk. Now that there are more cluster of thunderstorms, that transitions it to more of a gusty straight line wind threat as opposed to hail threat. Of course, you still have the tornado threat as well, hence the tornado warning still ongoing. All right, it is at the top of the 5 p.m. hour. For those of you who are just now joining us, good evening. I'm meteorologist Britton Musall, and we are continuing with severe weather coverage. We have several severe thunderstorm warnings, multiple that include the city of San Angelo, 2 at this point, and multiple tornado warnings ongoing for Kimball, Menard, moving into Mason County, moving into portions of the hill country. Unfortunately, there was confirmation of a tornado to the west of Menard. That complex of thunderstorms is moving to the southeast. National Weather Service has just issued a new update with that tornado warning as it moves into Mason County. And they have bumped up the hail sizes to tennis ball sized hail near the Kimball-Menard County line, near Long Mountain, moving southeast at 25 miles an hour. So as I've mentioned before previously, you see these thunderstorms cycle up and down in intensity. Now the thunderstorm appears to be cycling up in intensity with that potential of up to tennis ball sized hail. I also want to mention, you'll notice that green polygon, it goes from Concho County, Menard County into Kimball, and into Mason and McCulloch counties. That green shaded polygon is your flash flood warning. The thunderstorm, it's had confirmation of gusty straight line winds, large hail, at least one tornado, and it's also produced very heavy rainfall. So if you're traveling through this portion of west central Texas, remember, turn around, don't drown. That is the way to keep yourself safe, especially for any storm chasers who might be in this region. We as West Texas residents know it really doesn't take a whole lot of rain to lead to flash flooding problems. So really need you to be especially vigilant of that. It's west of the community of Mason. We're talking northwestern portions of Mason County. Also want to mention we have a tornado watch in effect that does include the city of San Angelo. It goes from Reagan County to the east of Midland through San Angelo, Robert Lee, Ballinger. Brownwood, you're not included in the tornado watch, and that goes southeastward towards the hill country, towards places like Austin. We're kind of having this localized setup where, unfortunately, we are seeing the ingredients come together for tornadic activity right along the leading edge of this cluster of thunderstorms. That's where I'm concerned about potential tornadic circulations. We're also still having what meteorologists refer to as that bounded weak ecoregion. The green area surrounded by the yellow and reds, that's indicative of still strong updrafts with these thunderstorms. That's what's helping sustain this thunderstorm. We've been covering this tornado warning for at least an hour, if not even longer than that. Of course, we're going to stick with it as it moves southeast into Mason County and eventually out of the Fox, West Texas viewing area. And as it does so, I think it'll be moving into a slightly less favorable environment for strong to severe thunderstorms. At this point, though, you see that very well-defined kind of backward C shape. That is your potential tornadic circulation as it moves from Menard County into Mason County. And here's the community of Streeter. It's just west of Mason, and it's right on the Kimball, Menard, Mason County lines as it moves off to the east at about 25 miles an hour. If it's not producing a tornado, at the very least, it's producing the very gusty straight line winds. Green is winds going towards the radar. Red is winds going away from the radar, right where you get that counterclockwise circulation. It looks like the strongest winds are just to the east of the community of London. Still have the hail threat. Most recently, National Weather Service has this warned for up to baseball-sized hail as it moves into portions of Mason County. And our radar is still, I think, underestimating hail sizes a little bit. It's showing the hen egg and golf ball sized hail. As I've mentioned, though, it can definitely still cause damage, as it is currently 5:04 p.m. We have the tornado warning in effect for central portions of Menard County until 5:15 p.m. So community of Menard, I suspect you'll be cleared of the tornado warning soon as it kind of continues off to the east-southeast. And a second easterly tornado warning for Kimball, Mason, and Menard County. Mason County is technically outside of our viewing area. It's technically covered by our sister station, KView in Austin, Texas, as that kind of moves towards places like Llano and the Hill Country. Of course, we're still keeping an eye on it. If you know folks who live in western portions of Mason County, right on the border with Kimball and Menard counties, I want you to give them a phone call, let them know, hey, I know it's a holiday, I know it's Memorial Day, but you need to be in that tornado safe place for at least the next half hour. It's currently 5:05 p.m. and the tornado warning's in effect until 5:30 p.m. And we're also seeing more thunderstorms develop across the area. To kind of give folks an idea of what all we're seeing, we have that severe thunderstorm warning for Erie, Sterling, and Tom Green County, warned for large hail, gusty straight line winds. That's kind of our secondary area of concern. We have the tornado warnings in effect for Menard, Kimball, and Mason County. Menard, the community of Menard, you're included in a tornado warning for the next 10 minutes until 5:15 p.m. And then you should be cleared from the tornado warning as it moves off towards the east-southeast. Of course, as long as there's a tornado warning polygon in effect, you want to be taking those tornado safety precautions, lowest floor away from windows. And right next to where the area of greatest circulation is, that's where we're seeing the largest hail. That's the pink shaded area right on the Menard-Mason County lines. That's where the potential for baseball-sized hail is. And right now it looks like the area of greatest rotation is transitioning outside of our viewing area. And I don't say this to undercut it, I say it as a concern for places like Streeter it looks like you're about to see potentially the tornadic circulation and the very large hail up to baseball size as it moves out of Kimball County, or excuse me, as it moves out of Menard County into Mason County. And we have just had reports of 5-inch hail in Menard County. So our radar is definitely underestimating that hail sizes. We have had reports of 5-inch hail. That's over tennis ball size. That's over softball sized hail. That's almost about as large as a DVD in diameter. A DVD is about 5.5 inches. So really large hail. If it's not producing a tornado, 5-inch diameter hail will definitely cause some damage as it moves into portions of Mason County. Wow, that is some really, really dangerously large hail. And that's because of all of the instability we're seeing in the atmosphere. That's when you have lots of instability, that means that you have the strong updrafts, you have strong winds going up inside the thunderstorm. And when you have winds that strong, they can loft up rain that'll freeze, fall back down, and that process will continue until eventually the storm can't carry it anymore, and you need some very strong winds in order to produce 5-inch in diameter hail. So that is incredibly impressive. Hopefully it's not causing any damage, but it really just goes to show if you're in Mason County and even still portions of Kimball County, the storm entering western Mason County, which has a tornado warning, is capable of producing a tornado. Hail of golf ball size accompanies the storm. Torrential rainfall and intense lightning also accompany the storm. So it's a really powerful storm as it moves from Mason as it moves into Mason County, and that may be the most significant threat with the thunderstorm at this point. If not the tornado, in addition to the tornado warning, which is the number one concern why we're sticking with this thunderstorm, but the largest hail is now crossing over from Menard County into Mason County. And as our friends at the National Weather Service have explained, it's also producing the lightning, the really, really heavy rainfall. So it is a powerful storm. Still wants you in those tornado safe places. And moving into Mason County, you can see the powerful circulations, at least in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. Green is winds going towards the radar. Red is winds going away from the radar. It's right on the border of Mason County until 5:30 p.m. Right now, it looks to be just south of Highway 377, and still some rotation ongoing for Menard and Kimball counties. So I do still want you in your safe room across central, southern, southeastern Menard County and northern, northeastern portions of Kimball County. The most imminent circulation right now west of Mason near the community of Streeter, which is technically just outside of our viewing area. And we are seeing multiple severe thunderstorm warnings, multiple flash flood warnings issued as this complex of thunderstorms tracks southeast across the Fox West Texas viewing area. All right, it is currently 5:10 in the evening. For those of you who are just now joining us, we're doing live continuous severe weather coverage for multiple tornado warnings, 2 tornado warnings. One includes Menard down towards London, towards Clio. We're seeing a little bit of messy rotation with that. The winds inside the thunderstorm indicate, though, that the strongest rotation is moving from Kimball and Menard counties into Mason County. So folks southwest of the community of Mason, now's your call to action. This is moving just outside of our viewing area into the Austin television market, and once the imminent tornado threat moves out of our viewing area, we'll send it back to regularly scheduled programming. But at this point, it is still definitely impacting portions of our viewing area, at the very least areas that are very close. And it looks like that severe thunderstorm warning is now approaching the city of San Angelo. So that's currently not our greatest concern. Our greatest concern are those storms across southeastern portions of the Concho Valley. You're definitely seeing the large hail, though, with this thunderstorm in San Angelo. So if you haven't already moved your car inside in San Angelo under some sort of covered parking, I would definitely recommend doing so sooner rather than later, because this thunderstorm with a history of producing large hail is eventually going to move into the city of San Angelo. We're included in that severe thunderstorm warning until 5:45 p.m. Let me get you the latest information from the National Weather Service on this storm moving into San Angelo. It has 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and half-dollar-sized hail, and it's moving southeast at 20 miles an hour. So it's a really slow-moving storm. You're seeing that hail core just to the west of Grape Creek. Here is Highway 87, community of Arden. Here's Highway 67. So thunderstorm knocking on our doorstep in the city of San Angelo. Again, really want to emphasize the greatest threat right now is moving into portions of Mason County. So hopefully it's some encouraging news for folks in Kimball and Menard County. The tornado warning still goes into effect until 5:30 p.m. and the western tornado warning is in effect until 5:15. So I suspect when the clock hits 5:15 here in a couple of minutes, they're likely to allow that western tornado warning to expire. And you can see the really powerful hail as the storm moving into Mason County and other forms of radar. It's even more striking just how big the hail is, how big of a concern it is for us in West Texas. Just a really complicated weather setup. So I just want to continue to encourage you to stay weather aware and to keep up to date. As folks are continuing to stick with us, we thank you for your trust with the information. But you can see multiple different polygons ongoing just because of a lot of different hazards associated with this thunderstorm. You're seeing 2 different tornado warnings, also a severe thunderstorm warning for you in Sutton County. This is moving towards the northeast. It looks like it's about to cross Interstate 10 for quarter-sized hail, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. As it moves to the east of Sonora, here's Highway 277. Here's Interstate 10. And it is currently 5:15 p.m. And that tornado warning, as it moves from Kimball and Menard County into Mason County, is in effect for the next 15 minutes. And then that threat will begin to transition out of our viewing area. But I still want you taking those tornado safety precautions for at least the next little bit of time. And community of Menard, if you're in the Menard County seat, that tornado warning has been allowed to expire for you. Southeastern portions of Menard County, southeast of the community of Menard, and northeast of Junction, you're still included in a tornado warning. And I'll continue to be covering this thunderstorm until it moves out of our viewing area. But Mason County, it looks like the greatest threat is transitioning towards you at this point. And it looks like, unfortunately, the winds are getting even stronger as they move towards the community of Mason. Green represents winds going towards the radar. Red is winds going away from the radar. Right where the green and red touch each other, that is where the circulation is ongoing. It's southwest of the community of Streeter, southwest of the community of Mason, and you have the green polygons ongoing as well. National Weather Service calling it a considerable threat flash flood warning, which are issued fairly rarely by the National Weather Service, only when there are potential high impact flood events as a result of really heavy rainfall. So definitely want you to be taking this seriously in western Mason County, west of the community of Mason towards Streeter. And potentially multiple different areas of rotation, specifically in far northeastern portions of Kimball County, just to the east of the community of London. And that actually looks like it might be a little bit of some counterclockwise circulation So that's probably why the National Weather Service is maintaining the tornado warning for at least the next 15 minutes, because we've just seen a lot of activity with this cluster of storms as it moves from northwest to southeast and eventually towards the Austin area, although as it moves towards Austin, it's moving into a little bit of a less favorable environment for strong to severe storms. And I'm going to briefly sample how large the hail is as it moves into the city of San Angelo. I know a lot of folks from San Angelo are probably watching. The clouds are probably getting dark, and we would flash up our San Angelo sky tracker. Unfortunately, we've been having some technical difficulties. Largest hail looks to be just kind of on the south side of Grape Creek, potential for up to golf ball sized hail with this thunderstorm. So again, it's moving really slowly towards the city of San Angelo, and you're included in a severe thunderstorm warning until 5:45, I believe. So a very active weather day across West Texas. Biggest concern, Kimball, Mason, Menard counties. Right where you get that really close together area to the southwest of Mason, it's almost a very squished inverted letter C south of Highway 377. That is where you have that potential tornadic circulation. It's a supercell thunderstorm, meaning it has a rotating updraft, and these types of thunderstorms, they tend to cycle up and down in intensity almost erratically. So that's why, even though it may not look powerful on radar at 1 minute, it just takes one radar scan, which typically takes a couple minutes to come through, but in that time span, the storm can really strengthen. And we are definitely still seeing the powerful rotation. I'm going to briefly sample these winds, see how strong they're going. The gate-to-gate shear, which right now it's sampling at about 50 miles an hour. And so we're, again, to remind you, as we get away from the radar site in San Angelo, you're sampling higher and higher up in the thunderstorm. So even though the numbers may not sound really, really impressive, know that as it moves into Mason County, it definitely still is a threat. And we're talking far southeastern Menard County, far northeastern and northern portions of Kimball County. But still, gate-to-gate shear of 55 miles an hour is still fairly impressive, definitely enough to warrant that tornado warning, definitely enough to warrant you staying in that tornado safe room for at least the next 10 minutes. It is currently 5:20 in the evening for those of you who are just now joining us. I'm Fox West Texas meteorologist Britton Musall. This complex of thunderstorms unfortunately has been confirmed to have produced a tornado. It has been reported to the National Weather Service west of Menard. It also unfortunately reported producing funnel clouds and just a really powerful complex of storms. It's now transitioning out of the Fox West Texas viewing area as it's moving into Mason County. Until all counties in our viewing area are cleared, though, from that tornado warning, we're going to continue to stick with it. Because we also have had reports of really large hail. The largest hail, again, was 5 inches in diameter. That got reported to the National Weather Service office in San Angelo, Texas. I'm going to briefly pull up storm reports. These are the latest storm reports from the National Weather Service, and that will just give us an idea of what all has gone on across west central Texas. And you can see there is that tornado that got reported on the west side of Menard. That activity has moved to the east-southeast. Also flood reports, very large hail reports. We had hail reported that was 5 inches in diameter, and hail is considered severe when it's at least a 1/4 inch in diameter. A quarter sized hail, which is 1 inch in diameter. I apologize. Handling a lot of information right now as we have these really dangerous thunderstorms moving through our area. Southeastern Menard County, northeastern Kimball County, still want you in that tornado safe place. It looks like now the rotation to the southwest of Mason is beginning to wrap up, meaning it may be potentially beginning to intensify. And right where you have that bright red next to your bright green in Mason County, that is likely tornadic circulation. That tornado warning in effect until 5:30 p.m. It's kind of been stationary right next to the Kimball, Menard, and Mason County lines for quite a bit of time, at least the past 10 or 20 minutes or so. But if you know folks who live in this area southwest of Mason, really close to the Menard and Kimball County lines, I want you to give them a phone call. It's a holiday, it's Memorial Day. A lot of folks aren't paying attention to the weather. Unfortunately, weather doesn't take holidays like the rest of us, so it's still important to be remaining weather aware, even on days like today that are national holidays, as it's moving to the east, southeast. Mason, the county seat of Mason County, you're still included for the next 7 minutes. And we've had reports of floods, reports of golf ball sized hail in Tom Green County near the community of Grape Creek. So I do want to give a heads up about that storm as it moves towards San Angelo. We had that report of golf ball sized hail, and unfortunately that looks like it may be a threat for northern portions of the city of San Angelo. It's a really slow moving thunderstorm. Lots and lots of heavy rainfall, lots and lots of hail. So really want you to be taking this seriously. It's not an imminent tornado threat for the city of San Angelo. Want to go ahead and clarify that. It is producing some gusty winds. We had that report of, unfortunately, some golf ball sized hail near Grape Creek, but it's warned for 60-mile-an-hour winds and half-dollar sized hail. So I imagine the Weather Service is probably going to bump up that warning, since there has been a report of golf ball sized hail near Grape Creek. Big concern for us right now at Fox West Texas, tornado warning for Kimball, Mason, Menard counties until 5:30 p.m. this evening. It is tracking off to the east-southeast and eventually going to be making its way towards the Austin area. Thank you, sir. So we're going to continue to stick around with it for the next 6 minutes. It's currently 5:24 p.m. I imagine the National Weather Service is probably going to extend this tornado warning. I think it's likely to be just outside of our viewing area, though. If we look at a loop over the past hour of this tornado warning, you can see it's moving off to the east-southeast, so it might clip southeastern portions of Kimball County as it moves off to the east-southeast. You can see it moved from near London, and it really wrapped up quickly, thank you, sir, as it was originally to the north of London, and now it's moving towards southwestern portions of Mason County. National Weather Service has this moving southeast at 25 miles an hour. So National Weather Service did just issue a new tornado warning for Mason County until 6:15 this evening. So for those of you who have just now joined us, a brand new tornado warning's been issued until 6:15 this evening. It does not include it does not include Menard or Kimball County, but Mason County, you're included in that tornado warning until 6:15 p.m. this evening. So that is technically just outside of our viewing area. That's getting a little bit closer towards the Austin television market. That's covered by our sister station KView. But this is called a damaging tornado near the community of Mason. And we've unfortunately already seen the reports of tornadoes across Menard. National Weather Service now unfortunately receiving reports of damage, as we've seen the really, really powerful winds associated with this thunderstorm. Thoughts and prayers with those folks in Mason County, as it is still, even the most recent radar scan still looks powerful. You're still seeing the bright greens right next to the bright reds, again indicative of rotation and unfortunately of the damaging tornado as it moves southeastward. Hedwig's Hill, Hilda, Highway 87, you're all included in this potential tornado. So need you to continue to pay attention, need you to continue to be in that safe room. If you're not already in your safe room in central and southern portions of Mason County, I want you to go ahead and go to the lowest floor of your home. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And it really strengthened as it moved from Menard County and Junction County into Mason County. So if you have friends who live in Mason County, I want you to give them a phone call. Let them know there's been confirmed by the National Weather Service of a damaging tornado. We received reports of pea-sized hail near Buffalo Heights, that's in San Angelo. National Weather Service calling this latest tornado warning National Weather Service saying rotation within the Mason supercell is quite impressive, but it is broad and about 7,800 feet above ground level due to distance from the radar. Still, with such a signature, there is a high likelihood of a tornado occurring imminently, if not one already occurring. So that's what been tracking this thunderstorm as it moved from from Kimball County into Mason County. And as it's even moved away from the radar, we've seen it still be a really powerful signature. As it moves to the hill country, as it moves towards Mason, it's getting into an area with not as good radar coverage as San Angelo, but you definitely still see the powerful winds, likely a damaging tornado ongoing. The bright pink colors you're seeing in Mason County, that is the winds going away from the radar and just a powerful signature. So if you know folks celebrating Memorial Day in that area and not paying attention to the forecast, let them know a powerful thunderstorm is moving through the area. It's been confirmed to have produced a tornado earlier in its life, and still a really powerful signature. And Kimball and Mason County are still technically included in a severe thunderstorm warning just for a little bit. Yes, Kimball and Menard counties included in a severe thunderstorm warning for quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So as I mentioned before, it looks like the greatest threat is starting to transition out of the Fox West Texas viewing area into Mason County. But folks in Mason County, if you're watching us from Mason County, it's still a powerful thunderstorm ongoing, and really want you to be taking this thunderstorm seriously. And still powerful winds ongoing for Kimball and Menard counties, that severe thunderstorm warning. And you see that new yellow polygon, and I apologize. There's a lot going on because it is really busy, but between Menard and Junction, there is a severe thunderstorm warning, and the tornado warning has been canceled for Menard and Junction counties. Desmond, I believe we'll be able to send it back to regularly scheduled programming here in just a second. But I do just want to give folks an idea of what is going on. We have a tornado warning for Mason County that is moving outside of our viewing area, so that'll be covered by our sister station in Austin. You're also seeing severe thunderstorm warnings that include the city of San Angelo and include Sutton County. I'll continue to be keeping a close eye on it. We do still have a tornado warning tornado watch that includes the city of San Angelo until 10 p.m. tonight. We'll have Fox West Texas live at 6 here in half an hour. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Prepare a little bit for the newscast, and we'll have the latest end. For now, send it back to regularly scheduled programming.